Greetings, B-movie aficionados.
All right, hello and welcome to A Couple of Flicks. I'm Tristan.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Zach.
All right, and so today we're basically going to give our top 5 of 2019. As usual, these are not final. And yeah, so let's get started.
Yeah.
So who wants to go first?
Don't matter to me.
I can go first.
Okay.
My number 5, Detective Pikachu.
All right.
Just because, I don't know, I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
yeah.
It's a buddy cop movie, but with Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun. And the Pokemon
Yeah.
looked surprisingly really good.
Yeah, I liked how they remade them.
Yeah.
Made them all realistic looking and stuff. It was cool.
Yeah, I haven't seen a Pokemon movie since whatever that third one was, like the one that came out like however many years ago that had the question mark on it. Like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I don't even remember what it was called, but I know I saw that one because my sister was obsessed with Pokemon. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't see Detective Pikachu yet.
Oh,
so-
you didn't see it?
Not yet, but I probably should.
Fun.
By the way, and I know this might be kind of a sort of a side thing, but are you guys interested in the new Sonic movie?
No.
Not really.
Well, I guess that means that I'm gonna have to see it then.
I'll still see it.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
But I bet it's going to suck.
I mean, I'm not gonna get my hopes up, but I'll see it because I mean, I did grow up with Sonic video games, and I'm sure
Yeah.
it's probably not gonna be like, it's not gonna have even a fraction of the charm of the games,
No.
But why should it? I mean, it's a game, not a movie. So,
No offense to James Marsden, but I don't like him as an actor.
yeah, he's not who I would have cast, quite honestly. So, should I go next?
If you want, yeah.
Okay. So my number 5 is Climax, and I should preface this by saying that just because this is on my top 5 doesn't necessarily mean I recommend people see it. If you don't know what it is or don't have a good understanding of who directed it before you see it, you're probably going to have a very bad time watching it. It's horrific and terrible, but very well made, and I respect it for what it is. So, Climax, that's my number 5 pick.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
It's a dance movie. So,
I got it recently in a horror pack
yeah.
subscription service.
Oh,
I
yeah,
haven't watched it yet.
It's also a horror movie.
Oh.
So, yeah, I'd say it's definitely one of the scariest films of the year, personally. But not really scary in the usual kind of way, but more scary on a much more profound level that probably some people could relate to better than others. So it's
Nice.
Yeah, it's basically about a bunch of dancers who have a really, really bad trip. That's all I'm gonna say. So,
Okay.
so
All right. My number 5 is Joker.
cool.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, like we've said already, Joaquin Phoenix is basically the movie,
Yeah.
and that's what made me like it so much.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. He is pretty much the movie. He is Joker, like it's great too, because his character is he wants to be a stand-up comedian, and so in a way it's kind of like a stand-up act, but like in a more like odd kind of Yeah. Anyway, yeah, no, agreed. Great film.
Yeah, it was a good one.
And yeah, Joaquin Phoenix, I always root for him. So
Yeah, he's good.
yeah.
Always good.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, that was my number 4. So instead, I'll plug in Jojo Rabbit as one of my alternatives. Alternates, I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I just thought it was really cute.
It was cute. It was probably Waititi's like most accomplished film. Certainly one of his bravest.
Yeah.
Might be his best. I'd have to think about it. I don't know.
I like What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah, I really like that one. I love Hunt for the Wilder People a lot. That one might be my favorite. Either that or Boy. But yeah, no, Jojo Rabbit was a beautiful movie, and one wouldn't think that it would be because of the subject matter, but they actually ended up doing something pretty powerful with it. And of course, Sam Rockwell is always amazing, and Scarlett Johansson is really amazing. And then what's his name, Roman whatever Griffith, I don't know what his name is, but he did a beautiful job. Yeah. I that almost made my top 5. It's in my honorable mentions, I guess.
Yeah, it was my honorable mention.
Yeah. My number 4 pick is a film called Monos, which it's a hard movie to describe. And actually it's a little bit of a strange film. It's not necessarily going to make a lot of sense to everybody. It's basically a film about a bunch of kids that take somebody hostage, without giving too much away. And it takes place in a very interesting location. Visually, it was pretty powerful. And it's just out of all the films I've seen this year, like that's one that's like that especially sticks out to me is Monos. So.
I don't know that one either.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
Yeah, it was recommended to me, and by somebody, I forget who, somebody whose opinions I really usually trust, and I didn't see it until recently, but yeah, I really liked it a lot. So. Yeah.
All right, so my number 4 is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Good number 4.
Yep.
Definitely. So
I don't know what else to say about it since we kind of just talked about it.
Yeah. We've talked about it to death, but it is a good movie. It is worth seeing. I mean, if you like Tarantino, it's cool to see him actually do something that's like very specific. Like a specific kind of period. He's good at doing period pieces in general anyway, and he's good at like making very stylish ones. Yeah. But yeah, this is a particularly interesting period for him to do, Yeah,
and like the first part of it doesn't have that Tarantino vibe that his stuff usually has.
Mm.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that.
I would agree too. But I actually kind of like that. Like, yeah. I always enjoyed seeing him try new things or kind of experimenting a little bit more in other genres or other departments, trying to kind of like that's what I liked about Jackie Brown, for example, which I highly recommend. Like, if you ever get the chance to rewatch it, it really ages. It has aged incredibly. But that is a very human story, and not a lot of people remember that. I think a lot of people kind of remember more of the central plot, which is like barely, like it doesn't even take up most of that film's running time. And same with this, like the plot of this film, like there really isn't even a plot until like the last 20 or 30 minutes or so, like basically when you think about it, the whole movie is just a giant prologue to kind of a brief event, Yeah. But, it was beautifully done, though. And I really also, by the way, shout out to Margot Robbie, who actually, gave an interesting person sort of a more like human quality, I love the scene where she goes to the theater and like watches a movie of herself, because it's one of those things I've always kind of wondered about, is how actors like react to themselves watching a movie. Like I know that some people, like, you know, Johnny Depp and Adam Driver and people like that, like they can't stand looking at themselves, and they don't like to watch the movies that they're in, you know. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know. But seeing that though, like, I don't think I've seen that in a movie before, or maybe I have, but I don't know. But that was really cool. So
Yeah. And one more thing about Once Upon a Time. Did you hear that he's gonna direct 5 episodes of Bounty Law, that DiCaprio show?
cool. All right. That could be kind of interesting.
I mean,
Right.
the little bit he showed in the movie was interesting. So
Yeah, I bet he'll probably do something unique with that. I mean, he always finds a way to do something unique, so, or to have like a new spin on something. So
yeah.
That's cool.
mhm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Who knows if it'll actually happen? But
Right.
Yeah, it's anybody's guess, really.
All right. So my third one was also Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Hmm.
So I'll go with another one of my honorable mentions. I'm just gonna go with 1917, just because of I love long takes, long shots, and that was pretty sweet.
I would have to. I mean, the outstanding like cinematography and visuals. I mean, I would have to agree. Like as far as like structured shots go, like 1917 is like pretty darn good. I mean,
Yeah.
and the fact that it's a war film too, which that's kind of a genre of film that's known for being over stylized with its editing and all that stuff. To have it actually to like force the viewer to kind of be in the moment and in the atmosphere
Yeah.
in a way, like, it is pretty terrifying. I mean, and I do feel like they really took advantage of like the potential for like realism. Like I really felt like there were a lot of very lifelike moments in it, you know, that just
Definitely, yeah.
felt spontaneous, you know. Not a lot of war films have that kind of thing. A lot of war films tend to be overly stylized, you know. The few that aren't, you know, there's always like things about them that I always like. I love Black Hawk Down, for example. And like I love The Thin Red Line. I mean, there are some war films that I really adore. But it's hard to find films that like really manage to like have a steady kind of realism to it.
Yeah, this one had a nice pace to it throughout. It didn't feel like it dragged on at all.
Yeah.
At any part.
The best war film, I think one that a lot of people pretty much agree is the best war film, but the best war film I've ever seen that like really makes you like feel like you're there and works as both like an auditory and a visual experience, was Come and See. And that's a Russian film. I highly recommend that one.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah. Definitely worth watching. You know, like if you want like a great war film. I mean, Apocalypse Now is good. And there's others that are good too. But that one's really, you know, profound. So my number 3 choice is Honeyland. And actually the reason I saw this movie is actually kind of because of you, because in the episode where we talked about bee movies,
Yeah.
you were talking about bees.
Yeah.
And then I was like a little while later, like I was looking up like documentaries or something. I forget what I was looking up, but I was looking up, you know, some movies, and Honeyland was like on this list. And I'm like, oh, about bees. Like
Bees are my
like-
favorite animal.
yeah, well, you got to see this one because it's about beekeeping.
Ooh.
Although it's really kind of a more human story. Like it's just check it out if you like bees. Yeah.
I do, yeah.
It's a great story. I've never seen a film like it, actually. It's pretty interesting. I was surprised by how much it captivated me, actually. Probably one of the most entertaining documentaries I've seen since Exit Through the Gift Shop. You know, I mean, I've seen better documentaries than that, but I'm obviously not going to say that like the act of killing is entertaining. but Apollo 11 was really good too. But yeah, no, Honeyland. I that's my number 3.
Nice.
I'll have to check it out then.
Yeah.
My number 3 is The Lighthouse.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love everything about that. The way it's shot, the setting.
Mm.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. It's so. Yeah, like I'd have to say, like, definitely one of the biggest snubs of the year. Ultimately, like the fact that like neither Robert Pattinson nor Willem Dafoe got like any
it's
recognition. Like I just
That's like the perfect Willem Dafoe role
I
right
know.
there.
You couldn't have picked a better Willem Dafoe role than that.
Yeah, I don't know how they snubbed him on that.
Incredible. And then I think at this point, like nobody can really deny that Robert Pattinson can act.
Yeah, he got talent.
I mean, I know it was cool to hate him for a while because of Twilight and all that.
Gonna be more hate because he's gonna be Batman.
I know,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I can't wait to defend the hell out of him.
I bet he's gonna be good as Batman too.
He's good, yeah. Oh, undoubtedly. Oh my God. By the way, speaking of Robert Pattinson, have either of you seen Good Time yet?
Not
No.
yet.
Okay.
I want to.
That's another that his performance in that I'd say is maybe not quite as good as the one in Lighthouse, but like almost as good. And like that was kind of the film that really sold me on him as an actor. And I think that's the film that sold most people on him, you know. If it wasn't that, it was definitely this, The Lighthouse. Yeah, no, great choice. Oh my God.
All right. My number 2 is Uncut Gems. That movie was fucking awesome. I loved it.
Absolutely harrowing. It's been, yeah, speaking of Good Time, by the same directors, the Safdies.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're making a remake of 48 Hours. I'm interested in that. Like, yeah. Uncut Gems is amazing though.
Yeah, I loved it.
So gritty and brutal. Like, yeah, my face hurt by the time that movie was over. I was just like, there comes a point like where like after watching, not without spoiling anything, but after watching him getting like injured and beaten up so many times, like
Yeah.
I started to get kind of nauseous. Like it was just like, oh, you know.
The Sandman.
Yeah.
He can act.
Yeah. Agreed. Talk about, speaking of snubs, holy crap.
Yeah, he should have gotten at least a nomination.
Such an injustice. But yeah, Uncut Gems was a great movie. I can't wait to watch it again. It was so gnarly.
It was fun. I loved it.
Yeah. My number 2 choice is The Lighthouse. Just a very profound, very provocative, trippy, offbeat, hilarious, creepy, unusual experience of a film. I'm not going to say that all the pieces added up in my mind, but I loved the experience of it so much, and I loved how much it transported me. And I mean, I could smell it. It was disgusting, and I just adored it. It was just such a great experience, you know. And yeah, I definitely am looking forward to watching it again. Like I really love that movie.
Yeah. Had a lot of fun with that one.
All right. My number 2 is Parasite.
Ooh.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, what was your kind of overall reaction to it?
So I thought it was gonna be overhyped for me
Right.
because everyone loves it, you know.
Yeah.
And usually if everyone loves something, it kind of makes me not like it as much.
Same.
But this one, I really enjoyed it. It was so good.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty mind blowing.
And like before I watched it, I basically knew nothing about it, so that probably helped too.
Yeah, that helps.
That
for sure.
definitely helps.
I got to see it in theaters too.
I
It was
know.
awesome.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. I mean, that was my number one.
Yeah.
So
Actually, I'm just gonna say that's my number one as well. Yeah. I'm still trying to process it, I will admit. Because it was hitting a lot of themes for me and a lot of sort of concepts in many different ways. It really kind of did a number on me, I gotta say. Like, it kind of actually made me reevaluate all of Jun Ho Bong's other films, in fact. And like now I'm kind of recognizing that they all sort of have like a pattern. You know, they're all kind of exploring these rather in an odd way. He's exploring these really intense yet realistic concepts of class. And this film kind of felt like an accumulation of things that he was sort of building up to in his other films. And yet at the same time, his other films, I think, stand apart on their own terms as well. Like this movie made me want to re-examine the last third of Snowpiercer and really kind of study it and try to figure out like why he chose to sort of end it the way he did. I still consider I still consider like Memories of Murder to be like one of the like ultimate masterpieces of cinema. Like I think that's like easily like one of the most, like if there's like any films I can think of that are flawless, that one would definitely be one of them, Memories of Murder. And so every time I see a new Jun Ho Bong film, I'm always going to sort of measure it against that. And I kind of feel like this, out of all of his films, this one either came the closest or is like on par to it. The more I think about this movie, the more I realize that like so many aspects of it were very specifically done for, you know, multiple reasons. You could tell that there was a lot of thought put into the decisions that he made telling this story. And, you know, there are some plot holes actually. However, those plot holes like actually make the movie more interesting, you know, because this is the kind of movie where like the overall structure of it is done in such a unique way that I think having a human element, you know, like certain aspects about kind of just the history of the rich family, I'm just not entirely clear on. Mm-hmm. But I like that though. Like I like the fact that there's sort of some pieces missing, you know, like somehow it works perfectly. Like I think a lot of people tend to not really like ambiguity. A lot of people tend to not like things kind of being left up in the air, but this is the kind of movie where like it, like having some mystery to the whole idea of it actually strengthens it more as a film. No, I totally agree with you 100%. This is a masterpiece, and yeah, in my opinion, it's the best film of the year as well.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite of his films.
Yeah, it might be my favorite. I really got to think about it more. I've seen all of his films. I love all of them. I'm not too crazy about his first film, only because like, I mean, I don't like watching dogs getting killed. Whatever it's called, the barking dogs never bite. I think it's his first movie, and that's actually, it's not a bad movie, but you could tell that he was still kind of like working out his own style and trying to like figure out sort of the right rhythm to establish as a director, you know. But then he did Memories of Murder, and that just like blew me away so hard, you know. And then The Host was incredible. Mother,
The Host.
Yeah, that was, oh man. And The Host, in a way, that's kind of about like class as well. But that one's done in a different kind of way. That's more of like a corporate sort of thing, and what that has to do with society, and then also like this dysfunctional family who doesn't have it all together, managing to come together through this really crazy event. Like they did a really good job with that, and you really like could identify with the characters like in that as well, because they all had very human traits and qualities. And I think that's the thing that works best about all of his films, is how human they tend to be, you know. Like he has like a perfect human quality. That's how I would kind of describe his films, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So All right, your number one.
My number one is Midsommar.
Oh,
Ooh.
okay. Wow, interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but something about it. I really love that.
I haven't seen it yet.
Well, I feel like it'd be an interesting movie for the three of us to talk about. Because yeah, I mean that movie. I mean, it's quite a film. There was, and I didn't think that I could be shocked by a movie like that. You know, I didn't think that, like, I thought that that the director, that his film following Hereditary was going to be probably like a safer movie, but this definitely wasn't. You know, like,
No.
and I still don't really know how to feel about the ending, because I don't know. I love it, but I hate it at the same time. But I don't want to. I don't want to elaborate too much.
Yeah. We can save that for another
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I think it would be a very. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Definitely. Like,
I'll probably watch it this week then.
yeah, it's. Yeah, no, it's definitely a provocative. It's definitely like a different kind of film too. Like, there have been movies about cults, you know, that have sort of been really weird and out there, but this one was done in a really, like, I don't know, it was done in kind of like a beautiful way, you know, like there was just something about it that was interesting. It just had, I don't know, it's an experience. I really like that movie a lot. So
Yeah.
well, any honorable mentions?
I've listed since like the beginning of last year, so I have like 20 different things.
Oh.
Nice.
Well, are there any that you want to kind of briefly mention, or?
I mean, Endgame.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I mean, Endgame was it definitely was a satisfying conclusion overall, you know. So it was cool to see, like, how, like, all the characters got brought back and how they tried to balance and juggle all the storylines and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of plot holes, but
Yeah.
still very enjoyable
Yeah, and
culmination
also,
of 22 movies, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. And also, one thing I think I've mentioned this before, but like, now that they've introduced time travel to this series, they're kind of playing with fire. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, once you introduce time travel, you can pretty much change all the rules of any series. So
Just retcon everything.
exactly. And so, like, they could easily do, and knowing Disney, like, I don't know. I'm going to try not to be too nervous about it, but I don't know. I'm going to proceed with caution, I think, is what I'm trying to say. So,
Yeah. Us, that was an honorable mention for me. I liked Us.
Us was
Yeah.
great.
I didn't
Really
like it as
good.
much as Get Out, but
Yeah.
I thought it was still fun.
It was really good.
Yeah, I liked it. And I definitely, like, even though, like, Get Out is definitely, I think most people would agree that's a better movie, but I think Us, I don't know, I definitely want to explore that one more, because I think that there's probably more to it, like, under the surface. I could see how there's, like, I don't know, I feel like there's some stuff to digest there.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay. Yeah. Is there any more you can think of, or?
No.
I mean, again, you mentioned it, but I definitely would like to just kind of mention Jojo Rabbit really is worth seeing.
Yeah.
And it just barely came out, I think. But yeah, that one, I mean, I was sort of divided about putting that one on my top 5, but ultimately I ended up going with Climax. But honestly, though, I don't think most people would like Climax, so you can pretend that I put Jojo Rabbit at number 5. So. All right, I think that's about it. I can't really think of anything else to say. So,
Yeah.
all right,
That's
cool.
about it for 2019.
All right.
Good year.
Honestly, it was a good year. There's still some things I haven't seen yet, that
Yeah.
I'd like to see, Pain and Glory, the new Pedro Almodovar film, I definitely would like to watch. And I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm sure there's plenty of other things like that I haven't gotten around to yet that would probably be worth watching. So, yeah. But for now, those are our top 5.
Yeah.
All right. So subscribe, peace, and have a good night.
Yeah. Have a good night.